Good morning. I want to start by saying what an honor it is to serve as your mayor. I love the city of Leesburg, but more than that, I love the people that I work along beside throughout our community every single day that make this community what it is and bring it up every morning with the sun to another day of greatness. I can truly say that it has not always been easy being a city commissioner for the city of Leesburg. When I first got on here, it was a little bit of a rough road on there. But the last 2 years, we kind of fully changed the dynamics of the commission. And we have one of the strongest city commissions, in my opinion. We have a great cohesiveness between us. We couldn't be any different individually, but yet somehow we are able to sit down, get our goals aligned, and then find a way to achieve them. And so I want to say to my four compadres who I work alongside, thank you so much for making this such a sense of accomplishment every month and every year as we go this way forward. Before I get into my address, I just want to say how happy I am to have my very best friend in the whole wide world here, and that is my dad. I tell you. He's been my everything my whole life, and we have a great relationship, and I realize with some that that's not true, so I'm always so thankful that I have that. And I know he actually came today. He doesn't like to get up before dawn either, but he came in case I stepped on my tongue. He could pull me off of it and get me started again. That was supposed to be funny, y'all. You got to wake, step on your tongue when you're okay. It is the time of year, the point says reflected, we're here. The city always does this because this is the holiday season. We're fixing to celebrate Christmas, and if you've seen my city address, you know that my feelings, this is the greatest time of the year for me. I love it because it's the one time of the year that the entire world, whether they believe it or not, at least takes time to notice that one day a Savior was born. And it's a season that promotes peace and hope and joy. It's a season that promotes each of us to go out and be selfless and to think of others. And so I'm very thankful for this time of the year. I like to hear Merry Christmas, and if you hear it from me, it's a heartfelt Merry Christmas. I also am very thankful for all the men and women who are not going to be at their homes this holiday season because they are around the world and they're providing the freedoms and the protection for those of us. And I tell you, that means a lot to know how many are around the world taking care of the rights and the freedoms, fighting for them, protecting them, and helping maintain them. As I look around the room here today, I see friends that I have seen for 20 years, worked alongside of some, and now one of them is even the chief of police, and my best bud, Joe Iozzi, back there. But as I see through here, our public safety, not only do they keep us safe, but their job is also to make sure that those rights and those freedoms that we practice are held up and that we are allowed to exercise those. And so before we get going this morning, I wonder if we could just look around the room and wish a big Merry Christmas to all of our soldiers and our public safety personnel and give them a hand of appreciation. I heard about a preacher that was missed church for 2 or 3 weeks, and when he came back, he did his sermon, and it was about 7 minutes. And the next Sunday, he came in, did his sermon, and it was 10 minutes. And the next Sunday, he came in and did his sermon, it was 8 minutes. And the next Sunday, he came in and did his sermon, it was 48 minutes. So the board called him in, they're like, "Pastor, explain to us what happened. 8, 8, 8, and then all of a sudden 48? Looked around. He said, "Well, gentlemen, I was gone for 3 weeks because I got all my teeth pulled, and I've been doing wonderful on my speeches. And this morning, I was in a hurry, and I accidentally put my wife's teeth in." I'm not sure whose teeth I have in this morning because it was dark when I left the house. So you wondered why he's giving me the "you're on your tongue." Yeah, so we do want to go into a few things this morning to give you a little bit of an idea. I'm going to try to give you the short version of what Al always gives us. Boy, if you think I'm long-winded today, you should have heard how we received all this information. And while I love to pick on Al Minner, I would be remiss if I did not say what an awesome job he has done the last 3 years that he has served for us. And under his leadership, Al and his staff have really achieved some huge milestones and some great goals and continued to press forward for the city. And we just gave him all high marks at our commission meeting this Monday. And I'll tell you, we were proud of him. And we're trying to do everything we can to make sure we don't lose him. So we'll go to the presentation, our address. We do have a slide that you can kind of follow, or as some do, use that as a focus to fall asleep while speaking. In the area of our utility accomplishments, we have met some high goals this year, and you're going to hear me bounce back and forth on a few things because the way things go and the process of government and getting things, we had a lot of accomplishments that came to fruition this year, but they've been working sometimes for 2 or 3 years. So you're going to hear us talk about some things that maybe got started a couple years ago but have actually come to be now. One of our biggest accomplishments was our electric rate reduction. Our rates were one of the first concerns, being the highest in the state at $138.42 for the first 1,000 kilowatts of usage. We were like number 2 or 3 for the very top of the rate rise. And we went in and started looking at it, and since December of 2013, when rates were scheduled to increase for an additional 5%, which would put us close to $145 per 1,000 kilowatt for the first one, we were able to put a 5-point plan to reduce the electric rate by 24%, and we are now down to $105.58 for the first 1,000 kilowatts. The point system that we put in place to achieve this, and I'll hit on a few things here really quick. First, there was the creation of the fire assessment fee. The $58 residential fee has freed us up to tackle some capital improvements. It has allowed us to, actually it was the genesis that started the lower electric transfers, and which resulted in us being able to help lower the electric rates. Then we addressed the smart grid, and I know smart grid was everybody's favorite subject, but thankfully the bad press and the poor results, I think, are finally behind us. I will be honest, though, if you were to look at the situation, it was the media and some common sense approach that allowed us to accomplish these things. One of them was our bond refinancing. The second was a new GE contract, which will save us $6 million over the next net 12 years. And the third was reducing our IT requirements associated with the projects such as meter reading and things of that nature. And then there was the Duke franchise. Early in 2014, we realized that Duke Energy customers who resided in the city limits were not paying a franchise to the city. And so a franchise agreement was struck with Duke, and in the last 2 years, $208,800 has been generated to our general fund. In the areas of our water and wastewater, this year we completed the Plantation Water Facility. It is a $3.4 million project that actually came in on time and came in on budget. That's an achievement right there. And so it's an 800,000 ground storage tank, and then we have a state-of-the-art treatment processing plant, which kind of looks like Star Wars. If you go inside it, it's so fancy. We invested in a dewatering treatment process to promote more efficiency, and we invested in a reuse water infrastructure. If you go into our customer service area, this is one that I'm really proud of because we had some serious issues, and I know Al took this on at the very beginning, and we started trying to figure out ways to improve in our customer service, because when you look at that chart, it'll almost make you cry at first. But we have done a remarkable job in getting shorter lines, a quicker response in our customer service. The chart that you see has some major improvement And on some of the stats, if you were to look at them, you would have never been able to understand that either. And I always am amazed at that bottom line. When I look across there, it says max hold time, 83 minutes and 32 seconds. And I wonder two things. Who has 83 minutes to set on hold? And what did they say when somebody picked up the phone? I know why we have a high turnover, because I'd hate to answer that call after 83 minutes. I'm proud to say that in 2016, it was still long, and we're still working on it, but that was only a 1755 was our longest. Average calls presented, 187. This year, 266. Average calls handled, 144. This year, 245. Our ratios are just absolutely improving, and we're continuing to make great strides there. We also had a couple things that happened in the electric that I didn't mention. We were able to reduce the deposits for residential. It's a $200 flat fee, and after 6 months of good service, you can actually get that back. We also have a fee that is charged to the city if you call in over the phone to pay your bill, or you use a credit card. It costs $5, and this year we reduced that to now the city absorbs that cost. We don't pass that on to the customer. So just additional things that we're constantly trying to do. Now I want to go into our corridor and road accomplishments. This is some of the stuff that I really find exciting and I like to talk about a lot. Right now we have several projects that are currently in design in phase. First off would be 441 and 27 Gateway. That's what's actually shown on the picture. This is if you're coming south into town from Fruitland Park. When you get to the intersection in front of Sonny's there, that is kind of a maze, and you don't understand why DOT did it that way. None of us have ever figured that out. We're going to have beautiful landscaping there, fountains, trees. It is really going to be a remarkable entrance as you come into the city, as we're trying to approach each corridor that comes into town and make it something that you, the city residents, can be proud of. On the 441 median, we're doing landscaping. As you come north from the south end of town, coming up through the high school and all, the middle turn lane is actually going to become a median with palm trees and bushes like you see out in front of the mall. So that's going to help reduce some issues with traffic, safety, and also a beautification of that area. Dixie Avenue is in the complete street concept. Right now, it's in the final stage. So next year when you leave the meeting, you're going to go out here, and when you look down, you're going to think you're on 441 with all the medians and the trees and the bushes and the flowers and the landscaping, crosswalks to help people get across 5 lanes of traffic, designated areas where they can be protected in the median while they wait for the next lanes to empty if they have to cross over. So again, doing a complete streetscape, sidewalks, bicycle aspects, all the things that you want to have in your city. We also have the U.S. Highway 27 complete street concept. It's initiated now. It won't be done as quick, but it has been approved and started with the state, so we're excited about that. And then 9th Street and Dixie intersection, trying to alleviate the issues that we have on 9th Street when you come out of Venetian Gardens or Parmore Park. We're revamping that, and so it's going to make it much easier and a nicer flow as you leave through the parks and go into the road. General fund capital dollars while reducing the overhaul expense to our residents and businesses. I know when we did this, at first everybody thought it was just going to be a tax, but it actually kept us from not having to raise the ad valorem tax rates. It also allowed us to stop the amount of electric transfers that we were doing. And it was one of those things that everybody in the city, whether they have a home that's homesteaded and doesn't meet that value, such as in mobile home parks or things of that nature, they used the services, but yet they were paying nothing. This allowed everybody to pay a portion, and so we were able to reallocate the money as it should be. Our general fund cash revenues is something that I think the commission and Al are very excited about. Since December 2013, our cash reserves are up 63%. We have accumulated a very healthy reserve fund right now. At the end of fiscal year 2016, our general fund unrestricted reserves are at approximately $16 million, and this is up from $9.8 million at the end of 2013. So I would just say that is a substantial increase, and we're doing a fantastic job in that area, and I thank Al and the staff for that. We reestablished the 44127 CRA base year, providing for us to have a new CRA increment revenue. After creating the 44127 CRA, the economy collapsed, and when that happened, the tax increment was negative, bringing in $0 for that year. So now fiscal year 2017 will mark the first year that we will actually generate revenue, and it'll be approximately $108,500. In total, we have refinanced over $60 million, saving the city $7.5 million in just interest alone. That's pretty remarkable. In economic and community development, we have a couple of things that we've done and took a lot of time and really tried to add to. The first was increased our code enforcement. The commission made some adjustments to the ordinances. We even added some new ordinances to give code enforcement some teeth when they're dealing with violators and dealing with the blight throughout the community. We hired additional code enforcement officers and support staff to ensure quicker responses, follow-up, and consistency. And to date, they are doing a fantastic job with that, and I thank Chief Hicks and his staff and code enforcement for that. Then we had the substandard building demolition. The City Commission started a demolition program, and we funded that with $100,000 annually. To date, almost 20 dilapidated houses and structures have been removed, and even a few key commercial properties have come down, such as the old Mobil gas station, the Venetian Owls apartments, the lawnmower shop out in front of the airport, and the apartment complex on the boulevard. All of those things, eliminating blight, opening up for new potential building and growth that's prosperous and that is positive for the community. Then we went into our designing and planning is well underway. We right now have something that we're working on the west side of town off of County Road 468, and that is our new community neighborhood center, which will provide additional services, education, and training for LMI residents. That is going to be a phenomenal community resource center. If you look at that compared to others, we have really stepped up to the plate, and it's going to be a wonderful asset to our community. The commission then implemented a higher architectural design. I think one of the things that everybody got tired of hearing was, how come this was built in our city and it looks like this, and when they build it in Mount Dora, it looks like that? How come we get the stripped-down version and everybody else gets the fancy version? So one of the things we did was we came up with an architectural design and a color standards in an effort to reduce blight, and that has now went into effect and is already starting to make improvements. We approved things downtown, such as the bump outs that you see, where we took a parking space in front of a business and allowed them to come out with outside seating and dining areas to open up and add to our not only business and add to the inviting aspects of bringing people downtown, but also helps us with the aesthetics downtown. And then last but not least, we increased our industrial recruitment efforts. And Mike Rankin, I don't know where he's sitting at, but when we brought him on, he's now our assistant city manager. But Mike has done an unbelievable job with going out and recruiting industry and bringing businesses to Leesburg. It has been remarkable what's happened in just a few years. In the past 3 years, the 470 property has been heavily marketed without spending any significant funds to certify the sites. CoreSlab and Intosteel are the first corporations to move into the properties, and right now we have several others that are inquiring and some things that are even pending. In our area of gas, was very happy that in the gas department, the commission approved the Sable Trail National Gas Connection, which competes a long-planned city project to improve capacity in the southern portion of the city, and it also provides transmission redundancy. This project also has got us over $1 million in gas fund for additional potential capital improvements. Then as we get on to the horizon, I see the slide there, and you might want to just focus and take just a minute to look at some of those pictures, because This is the stuff that's really exciting. When I ran for office 4 years ago, one of the things that I focused on was Venetian Gardens, the jewel of Leesburg. And might I say, I want to echo what Al said. For all those of you in the room who could do a better job than me but chose not to run against me, I want to give you a hand and say thank you for not running against me this year. I'm looking forward to serving another 4 years without a fight. But Venetian Gardens, we have done some great things down there. Phase 1 is nearly complete. To date, we have completed the playground. We've put some new pavilions out towards Ski Beach and down in the park. We have started on the beach fronts. We have now 3 locations out there where we've brought the sand in and made a beachfront. We've tore down the apartment complex that was on the corner, which allows for more green space, parking lot, and enhances the playground and the splash pad. We tore down the old big pavilion that we had there and are replacing it with a new one. And then we have the splash pad coming in. That should be here sometime in the middle of next year, I believe. And so that will complete phase 1. Then Venetian Gardens, and we did lift the wake zone. I want to put that in there too because that was a big challenge. And we did all those things in hopes to make this a destination. That's what we're trying to do, is make Venetian Gardens once again a destination. Then, continuing that into phase 2 and to phase 3, getting started, the commission has earmarked $6.5 million in cash to reinvest in Venetian Gardens. These funds will finance Venetian Garden Phase 2, which is ski beach improvements. That'll be roads and sidewalks, additional landscaping, new bathrooms, new boat ramp, docks on both sides, not only on the one we have here, but down towards Ski Beach Point. And then we will also have additional little pavilions and picnic benches, things like that in the volleyball areas, trying to get that going. And then we will go into a community center, which is phase 3, and we're looking at how to redo Dozier Circle right now, addressing this building here, actually, whether to rehab it or to rebuild it. Then we're looking at bringing in commercial aspects around Dozier Circle for restaurants. So we're trying really hard to make Venetian Gardens and the Basin a real nice destination. In addition to all that, we have several other things that are working right now. We have continued to imagine, and I don't know, should I get into the fiber? We have a couple of great positive things that are going. One of those is we're in the middle right now of selling our fiber utility. If that goes as planned and we're able to pull that off, that will bring us $8 million in cash for the general fund. We also are in the middle of working on our C plane ramp. It is now in permitting phases, and with new mitigation strategy, we could save approximately $500,000 on that in construction. And then on our 44127 CRA refinance, staff is currently working on the last aspects to restructure that, which could save us approximately $1.3 million on interest payments for the 2010 CRA issue. So we are working really hard. It has been a great year. We've had a lot of things that have come to pass. I love it when we say we're saving money. I love it when we're finding ways to take the revenue and your money that you've entrusted with us and not just giving it to a lender or giving it in interest, but we're able to turn it into capital improvements, which you're going to be happy with, which will make our community a better place. And so, once again, I want to say to Leesburg staff and to the commission, thank you for another great year you've made happen for this community. And to our community, we want to say thank you for supporting what we're doing and helping us along the way, because every single thing that I've talked about, people in this room have said on committees, and you have sat in offices, and you've made phone calls, and you've come to commission meetings and pounded on the desk and told us you're doing it wrong, let's do it this way to make it better. Things just like this, the chamber. Sandy, I tell you, you're fantastic. And I wished I had flowers to give you, but you do a fantastic job. There you go. That poinsettia is for you. But as I look through here, I mean, my very first, where's Greg Yeager? When I came to town in 1988, Greg Yeager offered me a job. I was just a kid. And so there are people who are invested in this community that have been making a difference here for a really long time. And so that's what has made today so special when we start looking at now we're making great strides to become the #1 city in Lake County again, and we're going to do it, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I learned that from watching politics on TV. I'm telling you. We are out of time, so we're not going to take any questions. If you have questions, if you'll raise your hand, I'll make sure you get Al Minter's phone number, and he will be happy to spend the rest of the day talking to you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. God bless.